Lady. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Media Boat Podcast. Today is April the 15th. May or may not be tax day, depending on where you live. But my name's Mike. His name is Matt.
My name is Matt. His name is Mike. Thank you for joining us. As he said, it's April. We are in the spring. Baseball's being played. There's beautiful weather outside. Coachella is this weekend. All sorts of things are happening in the world around us. And so much so that we have stuff to talk about in podcast form for you.
Yeah, so why don't we get right down to it, speaking of Coachella, with music. And we always start music with the Billboard. We start the Billboard with the Hot 100. And it must be Coachella time because people are prepping for it, as Harry Styles is your number one song this week. As It Was. The name of the song is As It Was, is your number one song by Harry Styles.
Yes.
Congratulations.
He headlines night one of Coachella tonight and next weekend. You can see that on live stream if you don't want to pony up the money to go. Yeah, makes sense to drop a big single before. Also to note, I don't have this in the news, but it yet again set a new Spotify one-day streaming record. It is the newest song to do so.
Because of course it is.
Because Gen Z loves Harry Styles. They love him.
He's their Justin Timberlake.
You could say that.
I'll say it.
Yeah.
You could say it too, but I'll say it.
You could say that.
Yes. And number two, Heat Waves by Glass Animals.
Sticking around.
Coming at 3, Big Energy by Lotto. At 4, dropping to 4 is Stay by the Kid Laroi and Justin Bieber. And coming in at number 5, Enemy by Imagine Dragons.
Yep. Still imagining those dragons.
Yes, they are. Yes, he is. Yes, they are.
Yeah, I think they're a band.
Yeah, it's a band. Vegas band.
Not just that one guy.
Yep. As for your albums chart, your Billboard 200.
Yeah.
At number 1, Unlimited Love by the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Yes. Those Red Hot Chili Peppers.
Yes, their first record in a while. Debuting at number 1. That goes to show you people still like the Red Hot Chili Peppers. In fact, some people are still in this apartment right now in the other room.
Listening to the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
I mean, I don't know if she's listening to them right now, but she does appreciate them.
I know a lot of people wear Red Hot Chili Peppers on a graphic tee walking around saying, yes, I listen to this. I may or may not actually be listening to this.
May or may not.
Coming in at number 2, 7,220 by Lil Durk. At 3, Encanto by various artists.
Yeah.
At 4, Dangerous, the double album by Morgan Wallen. And coming in at number 5, Sour by Olivia Rodrigo.
Yeah, a couple notes. First of all, if that sounded familiar, that's because everything but number 1 didn't move. And also a note about our media boat enemy, Morgan Wallen. He released a new single this past week, which may or may not mean that there's new music on the horizon, a new album, which would finally mean we won't have to see this stupid Dangerous the double album on this chart anymore. We might still see him, but at least it will be a different album potentially. I actually don't know if he's announced a new full album yet, but there is a single out there.
I'm trying to remember if he's going to be at Coachella or not.
He might be at Stagecoach.
Stagecoach, that's what I mean.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to put him on a Coachella stage. It could be wrong, but...
Yeah, Morgan Wallen at Stagecoach a couple years ago.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyways,
if you don't want to listen to Morgan Wallen, we have new releases. First up, Just Like That, ... by Bonnie Raitt.
Yes, that Bonnie Raitt.
Pop Drunk Snot Bread by Bowling for Soup.
Yes.
Those Bowling for Soup.
I was asked, I believe just this morning, what I thought Bowling for Soup was doing right now. Well, turns out releasing an album, and I didn't know. Now I know.
I guess we could listen to it.
You could do that.
Yes, that is an option available to you. There's also Skinty by Fontaines DC.
Yeah. Oh.
Omnium Gatherum by Media Boat favorite name,
Say it.
King Gizzard and the Wizard Lizard.
The Lizard Wizard. Lizard Wizard.
Yes,
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard.
Yes, the lizard is the wizard.
The lizard is
with King Gizzard.
The wizard is a lizard.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard will be co-headlining Coachella this weekend, today, Fridays.
A stage, not co-headlining a night.
Hey, the fact that Harry Styles goes on at 11:30 and then King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard goes on at 11:50, I believe they're the headliners.
It's whoever's last, right?
Exactly.
It's a race to the finish.
It doesn't matter if it's on a different stage. It's whoever goes on last.
It doesn't matter if significantly less people are over there.
Hey, we'll be there in spirit.
Yeah.
There's also Break Me Open by S. Carey and Giving the World Away by Hatchie.
Something for everybody this week.
A little bit of something for everybody. Speaking of a little bit of something for everybody,
yeah,
new album has been released or has been announced with a release date by none other than Lizzo. Yes, that Lizzo.
I don't always give a news slot to a new album announcement, but when it's somebody who last time around made such a big impact as Lizzo, I felt like it deserved a mention at least.
It does, because Lizzo announced a summer album, July 15th release date for her new album, Special, the Nice Life in Atlantic Records, along with the release of brand new music video for a single, About Damn Time. Well, Lizzo actually teased About Damn Time on Instagram a few days ago, calling it the song of the summer, a statement that rings true with the singer tapping into the colorful rhythms and melodies of disco. The news of Lizzo's forthcoming album comes right before her appearance on Saturday Night Live, which is this weekend. Well, she'll be pulling double duty as both host and musical guest.
So yeah, so I guess watch SNL tomorrow if you want to know for sure if it really is the song of the summer. By the way, it's still spring.
Hey, by the way, we're halfway through spring. Summer is literally around the corner. It is almost summer movie season.
Well, we'll see, but yeah. I mean, goes to show you, sounds like by that description, she's also following in the current pop trend of dance / disco inspired sound. Thank you, Dua Lipa.
Yes, I would say that's very much in Dua Lipa.
In that current. I mean, sure, why not? Why not?
I mean, she did have a summer hit 2 years ago. So you could say it's about damn time.
But speaking of summer, on the heels of an Oscar-winning Best Documentary Feature and a Grammy for Best Musical Film, Questlove's Summer of Soul, or When the Revolution Could Not Be Televised, continues to make an impact, this time with festival organizers. Yeah.
Yep. Harlem Festival of Culture, which is a reimagined version of the weeks-long festival at the center of the film, will take place in the summer of 2023, which is next year, at Marcus Garvey Park, the site of the concert in the film, which at the time it was called Mount Morris Park, but that was during the original 1969 Harlem Cultural Festival.
Yeah.
So, like the original, the festival will be a multi-day outdoor event. And according to Billboard, Ambassador Digital Magazine Editor-in-Chief Musa Jackson, who is actually in attendance of the 1969 fest, is also featured in the doc. Did I miss something there?
No. The sentence confused me originally as well. It's telling you who are the festival's co-founders. So it's this first person and then those
Okay.
other two people.
All right. So let's reverse it then. The festival's co-founded by editor-in-chief of Digital Magazine, Musa Jackson, Nicola Evans, and Yvonne McNair.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's cool. Since there's a lot more like exposure of what this originally was back in 1969 to a lot more people, it makes sense to bring it back. And why not? A big outdoor festival makes a lot of sense right now when people
They're the hot new thing right now.
Yeah, who want to be outside during the summer, like they don't want to be cooped up inside seeing shows. It also makes sense considering the kind of the kind of sound you have in R&B right now. You have a lot of artists who would fit this mold perfectly. And so yeah, go for it. Like, I absolutely think this is a great idea, and it's a fun flashback to take advantage of this nostalgia for the original festival.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, especially with COVID around, you want to have outdoor festivals still.
Yeah.
So yeah, looking forward to that next year. Who do you think is going to headline?
No idea. John Baptiste. Anyway.
John Baptiste and her.
Yeah, there we go. We did it.
All right. Speaking of headliners.
Yes.
As mentioned, Coachella is this weekend, which means a lot of artists headlining Coachella. Case in point, Harry Styles dropped new material and new albums this week in preparation for Coachella, because listen to the new music, promote the new music, get the new music boom.
Exactly.
One of those groups, actually, Swedish House Mafia.
Yes.
With their first album in, God, was it 13 years?
Something like that.
Since they 10 years since they broke up in like 2012.
Yeah, at least 10.
Yeah, with Paradise Again.
So I also listened to this because I was looking for things to listen to today. Yeah, it's a Swedish House Mafia record. It's an EDM record. They make the kind of music you think they make.
The time passed between records, because this threw me right back into that 2012 era of, yeah, I'm a little raver boy out here enjoying a little rave scene.
It also answered the question we had last week, which was, have the Swedish House Mafia collaborated with The Weeknd? The answer is yes. That song is on this record, and also it was released as a single last year, so we must have just totally missed it. But yes, there is a song with The Weeknd and Swedish House Mafia. So now we know.
Yeah, but there's also a song with Sting and the Swedish House Mafia.
Yeah, so there's also a song with A$AP Rocky and Tyler the Creator on here. Goes all sorts of places. But
yeah, it's not just strictly an EDM album either. There's a lot of industrial sounds in here as well. A lot of disco sounds in here. It's kind of like a mixed bag, grab bag variety, buffet style of what Swedish House Mafia was 10 years ago.
And by the end of it, I honestly was like, I don't know if I have an opinion about this. I almost want to have us like call in our friend Mark and get his opinion here, because I don't know how it stacks up to their earlier material or how it stacks up with modern EDM. I don't know. I legitimately have no way to gauge if this is good or not.
Well, it got me wanting to get up and dance. So yes, it is good.
Okay, all right.
It's getting me to go to their concert. So yes, it is good.
I mean, you were going to go before you listened to this, to be fair. But I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what to say about it besides the fact that it's very much what you think it is. And I think you'll enjoy it if you like this kind of music.
I think if you never got into the discography of Swedish House Mafia and you only listen to this album, you'll get a general good sense of Swedish House Mafia. And then if you like it, then you can go back into the discography of their previous albums. Or, just hit shuffle on a playlist.
Yeah, that might be more what people who listen to EDM do. From what I understand, they're not necessarily album-driven people.
Yes,
different genres.
Yes, but as we discussed on here, albums tell a story. You're gonna put an album out, you got to make it tell a story here.
Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, it exists, and yeah, it's the perfect get you in the mood for the big Coachella headline performance on Sunday. So there you go.
Yep. Did you listen to anything else?
I just want to briefly mention I did a little bit of catch up from last week and listened to the new Camila Cabello record, Familia. It's very good. It's similar to the last solo record she put out, Romance, which I believe was 2 or 3 years ago, except this leans even further into the Latin sound. There's even a couple of tracks on here that are recorded in Spanish. First time she's ever done that. Yeah, it's a good time. So if you like Camila Cabello and you want that kind of Latin energy, it's a very, very good record. I had a good time with it.
All right. I did end up listening to Wetlake.
Okay, yeah.
Based on your recommendation from last week. Kind of rocky, not bad.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
You're good.
I didn't know what I was getting into, but then by then I was like, yeah, not bad.
The single Chaise Long is available on Rock Band.
It is.
Yes, I downloaded it.
Of course you did.
Of course I do. Anyways,
yeah, a lot of that was very garage, sounding of a garage band, but
yeah,
can need some refinement.
Yeah, but that's on purpose.
Yes, I know that's on purpose. It doesn't always have to be clean.
No.
Anyways, let's move into some video games.
Let's.
And we start with new releases.
Yes.
Beginning with Star Wars: The Force Unleashed. Wait, what year is it?
It's a real release. It's a port to the Switch.
So Star Wars: The Force re-unreleased?
Important to note, though, this port is based on the Wii version of The Force Unleashed, which means that it is slightly different from the game that was released on PS3 and 360. So if you are familiar with that console version, this version is not that. But it does mean, though, that you'll be able to use motion controls with the Joy-Con, just like the Wii version, if you so desire. But from what I understand, not the greatest version of this game. But it does have its fans. I remember some people do like the Force
ever
Unleashed.
The greatest version of their own game?
People would probably argue that Resident Evil 4 is probably the port that's best on the Wii, but
was that the one with the motion control gun?
Right, because it actually had
yeah
Wiimote aiming, which some people swear by. Also see the Metroid Prime port and Prime 3. A lot of people think because you have that Wii motion. It never really worked for me. I never really got shooters on the Wii, but some people swear by it. But anyway.
Some people.
All
right. Also releasing is Chernobylite: Enhanced Edition for PS5, Xbox Series X, and PC.
Yeah.
And Out of the Park Baseball 23 for the PC.
I guess they do their numbering different from the show, and they do it for the other sports titles do, and do it for the following year as opposed to the current year. I don't know why, because baseball is unique in the way it does take place in an entire
right. There's no
year,
calendar jump.
Whatever. Anyway, yes, this is your stat nerd baseball game. This is not a full graphical experience. It is a simulation that gives you data tables and shit. If you want that,
so it's baseball.
Yes, but with at least real teams and players, I guess, and no fantasy elements that I know of. I don't think. So this is what you want to do.
Ohtani?
No, no, he's very real. Turns out. This is what you would. This is basically your PC simulation if you want to get really nitty gritty with data. If you want to do a franchise, but and micromanage every single piece of everything of your team.
All right.
It's
neat. So manager mode.
Yeah, basically. Mode. Yeah, think of those football manager games. It's like that, but for baseball.
All right. So let's get into the video game news. And we'll start in California.
Yes.
With Activision Blizzard and Gavin Newsom.
Yes, the governor.
The governor
popped Gavin up in the news this week.
Yes. So 2 attorneys previously leading a high-profile lawsuit against Activision Blizzard are no longer on the case following accusations of meddling by California Governor Gavin Newsom. The California Department of Fair Employment and Housing sued Activision Blizzard in July of last year over its failure to handle sexual harassment and discrimination against female employees. We know this. According to a new Bloomberg report, the state agency's chief counsel, Jeanette Whipper, was fired by the governor, and her assistant, Melanie Proctor, has now resigned in protest. Both lawyers had previously stepped down from the Activision lawsuit earlier this month without explanation. The California government denies the accusation, stating that Newsom supported the DFEH lawsuit and would not interfere.
So
And then they interfered.
I added that last sentence just to cover our butts. That is the official government statement. It wasn't in the original story that I copied and pasted, but I felt like it was important to say that according to the governor, he did not actually fire or say anything to the lawyers in question. That being said, if you believe the reporting, it seems likely, considering that Activision Blizzard does have a lot of business interests that the California government would want to keep going as existent. Like there's political reasons why the government here in the state would want this lawsuit to at least have a rocky road to the end, so that way the company can keep making revenue for the state. Just saying. But officially, this has not been confirmed. Obviously, of course, the government would say no about this.
All right, so you know what we're gonna do now, right? Here comes the conspiracy theory hat on.
Yeah, put it on.
All right, so here's what happened. Conspiracy theory time. Activision Blizzard employs about 10,000 people, probably more, but let's just say in Irvine alone, 10,000 people.
Yeah.
Hey, Governor Newsom, do you want me to take my 10,000 jobs that I employ and go to, say, Arizona or Texas, where we can give them our tax dollars and have you all of a sudden drop 10,000 new unemployed people into your California dependent department, whatever, unemployment? Do you really want to do that? Do you really want to be the reason we pull out of California and move to more Texas, where we have more rights available to us as a company? I don't think you really want to do that. Plus, remember when we gave you all that money to help with your campaign? I think it's time for you to pay us up. Conspiracy hat.
Who knows what the impetus there was, and who knows whether it actually occurred. All we can really do is speculate.
I don't know. It smells a lot like the Justice Department that's going on in New York, where they were pursuing the Trump organization, and then they had people who were pursuing them also mysteriously bow out for unspecified reasons. It's the smell of politics creeping in.
Yeah.
Which, comes with the saying, it's a business.
It's just not a great look, considering that Gavin Newsom, runs with a party and runs on a platform that's very labor positive, and it's very usually progressive about being on top of sexual assault cases and making sure their equality is a I'm having such a hard time thinking of words today, is a priority. And so it's a bad PR time right now for them. And so they need to make sure that, I don't know. Like you said, though, there's
this is 2 weeks in a row where we've had Activision Blizzard in our news for what seems like good reasons, but then it's actually not.
No, the story keeps on going. It just keeps on snowballing and getting weirder and weirder. This probably being the weirdest thing that's happened yet. And who knows, it could get even weirder, but not as weird as our second story, which I'm gonna let you take the reins here, because I'm sure you have a lot to say about this.
I'm sorry, were you not expecting this?
I mean, no, because I felt like around the release of the third game, there was a lot of finality, right? It was like, this is the wrapping up of this storyline. This ending is important because it has like, like it tries to tie up all of these loose ends. Sure, there's a teaser that implies that there might be something else, but surely that will be a spin-off, right? That's what I thought.
So being around the bush here, we're talking about Kingdom Hearts.
Yes.
So this past weekend was the, believe it or not, prepare to feel old, 20th anniversary of the original game's release.
Yes.
Kingdom Hearts released back in 2002 in April, in Japan. So during the Kingdom Hearts 20th anniversary event, which was held in Tokyo, they announced a couple of new trailers. The first trailer was that the current mobile game, Kingdom Hearts Dark Road, Union Cross Dark Road, would come to its conclusion in the fall of this year. It was technically supposed to be in the fall of last year, but they got it pushed back to the fall of this year. It'll be a conclusion, it'll be a finality, they'll be able to move on from there. It won't be playable, it'll just be like one really long cutscene eventually. Basically think back cover of the movie, if you're in Kingdom Hearts lore.
Sure.
Then they also announced a new mobile game that would be appearing. Kingdom Hearts Missing Link. Yes, put your Missing Link jokes right here, please. Which would be an AR style game where Pokemon Go style, where you'd have to go out in the real world to battle Heartless and yes, actually walk around and like interact with actual people and AR objects. It's the live version of Pokemon Go, of whatever that Harry Potter thing is.
Right.
Run
Same
by
idea.
Unity. Actually, no, it's not Unity. It's actually, I think this is the Unreal Engine that they're going to be using for it. So if you're gonna get out and you're that into Kingdom Hearts, it's a thing. It's coming. I'm sure there's gonna be lore implications. And then yeah, so they're basically with these two, they're setting up what's going to be the new arc that they're going to cover.
Yes.
When they eventually get to the new arc. It's kind of just the ending / spin-off of what was the mobile-based version of Union, Kingdom Hearts Union and Dark Road. And then nothing else happened.
No, there's one thing that did happen.
All right, you're gonna make me talk about it.
Yeah, please do.
Okay, so in 2013.
Wait, hold on. Do we really need to back up that much to give context for this?
Yes.
Oh boy. All right.
In
okay.
2013.
Go.
Hey, you're giving me this platform. I'm gonna make my spiel here.
Hey, use the bathroom.
Yep. Okay. So in 2013, during Sony's E3 press conference, they gave us the first ever glimpse of what would eventually become Kingdom Hearts 3. Q 6 years later, and the infinite jokes of eventually it'll come out. We finally get Kingdom Hearts 3 actually released 6 years later when it's said in development. Here we are now, 2 years from, almost 3 years now, from the release of Kingdom Hearts 3, and they announced Kingdom Hearts 4. But not only did they announce Kingdom Hearts 4, they show us actual footage of Kingdom Hearts 4, actual in-game footage of Kingdom Hearts 4,
you think,
as well as the debut trailer of Sora running through the Quadratum City, which is based off Shibuya, Japan, which is where it was held, the event was held. So it's like, hey, you can literally look outside and look at our game and look how good and beautiful it both looks. So according to Square Enix, Kingdom Hearts 4 will mark the new beginning of a new epic storyline titled The Lost Masters Arc. Players were introduced to Quadratum, technically at the end of Kingdom Hearts 3 and through DLC, the Remind. But this is their first actual introduction to the more into the city. Square Enix describes this city as a large, expansive city set in a gorgeous, realistic world, unlike anything ever seen before in the Kingdom Hearts series. The debut trailer sees the return of Sora's Disney companions, Donald and Goofy, in addition to the first appearance, first 3D rendered appearance,
Uh-huh.
be specific here, of Strelitzia, who is described as a mysterious new character who appears before Sora in this strange new setting.
Okay, so here's my chance to ask you a bunch of questions
Go
about
ahead.
what the hell any of this means, because you are a Kingdom Hearts expert.
Yes.
You are so deep in the lore that you actually play the mobile games and know what's happened in those.
Yeah, yes. I actually bought the mobile games.
Yeah.
I actually bought the mobile systems in order to play the mobile games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so first question I have is, so the first thing everybody was asking about this trailer, because it does take place in this quadratum, very realistic world, is that the art style has changed. You see a
Very
more
much
real,
so.
yeah, you have a more realistic Sora featured here. The world is also rendered more realistically, as you said, photorealistic version of Shibuya. So a lot of people's question was, well, does this mean that the entire game is in this realistic mode? Or is this just a world like any of the Disney worlds, perhaps a hub world, that will only be a portion of the game, and elsewhere in the game there'll be other worlds with other art styles as Kingdom Hearts tradition has established? Do you think that that's going to be the case?
As Kingdom Hearts 3 established that,
Mhm.
yes, you're going to have different worlds with different aesthetics. There was a very clear aesthetic between what was shown in Toy Story World compared to what was Frozen World, compared
Right.
to what was even the Monsters Inc. world and Pirates of the Caribbean world, and like was it San Francisco? There's a different aesthetic going on in each world.
Yeah, it's
So yes,
Kingdom Hearts tradition.
it
It's
makes
always
sense.
been that way.
It's what it's always been. It's always been aesthetic based on that world and how
Yeah,
Sora fits in that world.
but
amongst
they
other characters.
figured that they would show the most radically new thing, I guess, first to give you like, oh, whoa, okay, what are we doing now kind of feeling.
Well, yes, this is running off of the Unreal Engine 5.
So yeah, note about that. This footage actually isn't. This
No,
footage
the footage is
is
of 4.
yeah. So what they're going to do, according to a translated interview, is that over the course of development, when tools become more available, technically Unreal Engine 5 did launch this week.
Yeah,
so
which
it is
is
available.
not in the news, but yes.
No, but this is our chance to mention it.
Yes.
But yeah, so they will have, they do like, we will have a plan to convert everything to 5, but early development, they've started on 4. But yes,
Right.
you're
And
right.
from
This will
from that
eventually,
interview, they've said that
yeah,
converting it from 4 to 5 is going to be a
Easy.
quote unquote seamless transition, as
Right.
seamless as it is going to a new engine.
Unreal, Epic has been very clear about they've made Unreal Engine 5 like very
Yes.
compatible.
Did you watch
with,
that trailer for it?
No, but I've heard.
Oh, it's so beautiful. It makes everything so easy and so like, oh, I
Yeah.
could do that. And then I'm like,
yeah.
wait, do I really want to do that? But I'm like, I could do that. They make it that user friendly.
Yeah, so it makes sense for them to be out here being like, oh, don't worry, we're eventually going to boot this onto 5. My other question has to do with, you mentioned that this is not actually the first appearance of this new character. I'm not even going to try to say her name. So where has she appeared before?
She has appeared in the Kingdom Hearts mobile game, Union Cross, where she dies in there.
Okay.
Also, she has a brother.
Okay.
A brother named Laurium.
So
Laurium, we have seen in Kingdom Hearts lore before.
Okay. So
who is the nobody, or Laurium's nobody is Marluxia.
Okay.
If that name sounds familiar, Marluxia was the main antagonist in the other Kingdom Hearts mobile game.
Okay.
The first one to come out, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories.
Ah.
So it's all connected.
I want to correct you real quick. Technically not a mobile game. It was a Game Boy Advance game first.
Could you take it on the go?
Yes, but
okay, it was a mobile game.
When people say mobile games, they don't mean handheld games.
Okay, handheld game. Yes. Anyway,
I actually rented a copy. That was back when I was renting things at Blockbuster. That's how long ago that was. I rented a copy of Chain of Memories and tried to wrap my head around it and bounced right off of it, as I do every Kingdom Hearts game. Anyways, but yeah, so Now, here's a question that kind of goes hand in hand with that. Another theory that I've seen come up a couple times
Is it the
is
Star Wars
that
theory?
no, I did also see that. I wasn't going to
Okay.
ask you about that because it's a given. There will probably be some Star Wars in Kingdom Hearts
Probably.
4. But no, what I was going to ask is, I saw a theory going around that because this other character is dead, that there's an idea of Quadratum being a sort of limbo.
Afterlife?
Yeah, like a limbo kind of. So something has happened to Sora to get him here, and that's why he's waking up in a way into this world.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
falls in with the end of both Remind and
Right.
Melody of Memory.
yeah. So that's okay. So you can confirm that's probably what's going on here.
Yes. So at the end of Remind, there's talk of going to unreality, basically the world of fiction. Or as the characters see it, as the world of fiction. But in my mind, I'm reversing that.
Okay.
And actually all these characters are the fictional characters,
Mhm.
and they're breaking into the reality.
I could actually support that because I did see somebody say something on the internet that in the world of Quadratum, the fictional things that are fiction, or things that are real to Sora are fiction in that world.
Yes.
So you're probably right there too. It's probably like these are fictional like things breaking into a real world.
Because this is what happened with the actual Quadratum, is that in the Toy Box universe, a Toy Story world, the world of Quadratum is technically a video game.
Oh,
in
right. This is the thing everybody was like, oh, Nomura is just making Versus 13 inside of the Kingdom Hearts
yes. And that's what this is.
So that's what this is. So this is basically, this is again another opportunity.
Yes, another
for Nomura,
theory hat on
to make Versus
this
13.
Is him saying, I'm making Versus 13 one way or another. You can't stop me, goddammit.
It's a long con, and this is him
It
finally
is.
being able to do it. Oh man. Well, we could probably talk for the next hour about Kingdom Hearts lore. But do you have anything else you want to say about
two other things?
Okay.
First off, in the trailer for Kingdom Hearts Missing Link, there's two logos at the bottom.
Okay.
One for Disney and one for Pixar, meaning both Disney and Pixar worlds will appear in Kingdom Hearts Missing Link.
Makes sense.
Mobile version. Makes sense. In the Kingdom Hearts 4 trailer, the only logo that shows at the bottom is Disney.
Yeah.
That's not to say it's only going to be Disney worlds.
Yeah.
That's not to say that there's not going to be any Star Wars, Marvel live action. Nomura said in the past that the one world he would want, if it's a live action, would be Star Wars.
Right.
And leave it to the internet to be super sleuths to see one frame or like 2 frames to say, hey, that looks like this thing from Star Wars. Maybe we're not looking at a forest. Maybe we're looking at Endor. And sure enough, it gets people talking, gets people thinking, and like, yep, it's confirmed now. Like, you can't take it back. We just confirmed it on the internet. Even though Square Enix and Nomura and no one in that team has basically said, yeah, that's what we're doing. Nope. Just internet people confirming things before they're confirmed.
This would be a really good way to do it too, if they're going to do it now, because one, the engine is now up to graphical fidelity to pull that off. And 2, you already established this more realistic look for Sora in this Quadratum world. So it does make sense to a certain extent to ease that's your way of easing in the player to a more realistic human-driven world, like the world of Star Wars, like the world of Marvel. So this would be the way to do it if they were going to do it.
Oh, here's the extra leap that I haven't seen on the internet yet. But I'm just gonna like blurt it out here because why not? This is the internet.
Why not?
Both the Mandalorian, Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, as well as Marvel Endgame and Infinity War, used assets from Unreal Engine 4 to create those environments. When you see green screen, that's not green screen. Those are like LED panels running off of Unreal Engine 4. Add Unreal Engine 5 onto that and makes it look even more beautiful than what it already is. So what I'm trying to say is that there's already precedent for all these assets to run in the Unreal Engine environment that Disney Disney can say, hey, Square Enix, if you want to use it, here it goes. Or Square Enix goes, hey, they're basically doing it. Let's figure out how they did it and just put it into our game.
Yeah, I don't think the technology is the big question mark here. I think that's a given. You're right. It's very easy, cookie cutter kind of method. The question is whether or not the
IP
creatives behind the Marvel and Star Wars IPs are going to be as willing to do it. Because I think that it's very easy for Pixar to be encouraged to do so, because how far is it the road from Disney animated feature to Pixar animated feature? Not very far for the Kingdom Hearts world to make sense in. But as soon as you commit to a leap to live action, that is a big commitment. And I think that because you kind of see those, specifically Marvel and Star Wars, being treated as little fiefdoms within Disney Studios, there will both have people to answer to whether or not they want to play ball with Square. So I think it's not as easy as some people are purporting it to be, but I also would not be surprised at all if this is when it happens. Because, yeah, support like a more realistic environment is what you need to bridge a player into those worlds, and they finally have done it. So go for it, is what I say. Why not? This is the time.
So going back to what I said, when Kingdom Hearts 3 was first announced back in 2013, Frozen technically has not come out yet. Neither had Big Hero 6.
Yeah.
So
anything could happen.
It literally took them 6 years to get the game in there.
That actually brings up a good question. How long do you think this is going to come out, take to come out? Because are we looking at 2024, 2025?
Realistically, I'm looking at 4 years to 2026.
Woof. Are we going to have a different console at that point? Like, what's going to happen? Like,
I still think it's going to be the PS5, but it'll be like towards the mid to end of it.
Woof. It's a long time for people to wait.
I mean, so is Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, I know, but that was a little bit of a fluke. I'm gonna go out here.
They had to switch engines and everything. Yes,
I'm going to say we see this by summer 2024. I'm going to be a little bit kinder here.
I'll go.
I think because they're working on a more available tool set and they're not swapping engines mid-game like they did last time.
Yeah,
I think it'll be a smoother transition because
as you said, it's the IPs.
Also, their most recent, Square's most recent game. What is that thing called? Something of
Not the Dragon Quest stuff.
Origin of Chaos or something like that. I forget what that thing is called. That thing that came out 2 weeks ago, like that was a pretty quick turnaround from announcement to launch. So they must have a pipeline now that's better than it used to be.
Yes, but the pipeline can only go as fast as Nomura can spit out ideas.
Right. So that's
and write a story.
The question here. So we'll see.
Which,
we'll see
if he's taking the story of Versus 13, he's already got it written. So there you go.
Supposedly. All right. Well, that'll do it. We have to cut off our Kingdom Hearts discourse there. If there's more information, we'll be sure to talk about it.
Oh, we'll talk about it as it comes along.
But for now, do you have any thoughts about any video games? Did you play any new video games this week?
No, but I did pre-order Kingdom Hearts 4 already.
Of course you did. Yeah, nothing new here. I don't believe I've played a single video game since Saturday. It's been a very busy week.
Same. I'm forcing myself to play Kirby at times while watching some baseball.
Good. Yeah, mostly been cleaning, watching baseball, and working. That's pretty much all I've been doing. Yep. Anyway, let's move on then into the second half of the show, and we move into television. And we always start television with the Sports Corner. We're pointing at your corner.
I got my Sports Corner.
And we start with golf. The Masters has a new champion, and it's the person that we talked about last week as being already ahead, Scottie Scheffler.
Yep, congratulations. You had your lead, and good thing you did, because Rory McIlroy was on your ass in that final day.
Damn.
But yeah, Rory shot 8 under on the final day, which ties the course record for the most under on the last day. But as we mentioned, Scotty Scheffler had a 6-stroke lead and only increased it over the course of the next 2 days. So too little, too late. Rory, you'll get him next year. But Rory McIlroy had probably some of the best shots on that last day. But Scotty had him all weekend. So Scotty doesn't know how to lose.
He does know, apparently.
Scotty doesn't know how to lose.
I guess not.
This is also only the second time that the #1 ranked player in the world for golf is also the Masters champion.
Oh, okay.
Last time that happened, Tiger Woods 20 years ago.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
So just goes how rare that occurs.
Yeah. Moving on to other big sports news. The NBA playoffs are just about to start. You have your #1 seeds up there, Phoenix and Miami.
Come on, what are they? You know,
words. I don't know.
Do you not know them? Phoenix Suns and Miami Heat.
Oh, right. Well, no, I didn't know what you were asking. Yes, I do know what those are.
Yes.
But yeah, and the games will be. Oh boy. Okay, you're gonna have to say these. I actually don't know what the
All right, so
acronyms.
Because we're recording when we don't have the final seeding yet. They play today.
Okay.
And the playoffs will start tomorrow or Sunday, actually. So in the final game for the final playoff spot, we have the New Orleans Pelicans versus the LA Clippers and the Atlanta Hawks versus the Cleveland Cavaliers. Playing for the last spot out in the playoffs.
All right. So we will see what our playoff picture looks like after those wins.
Yes. The most interesting one is that New Orleans Clippers or that Pelicans Clippers games. Because if the Clippers lose and become eliminated, means the first time in 25 years an LA team has not made the NBA playoffs.
Wow. Oof. That's rough. I mean, not as rough as the Lakers have it.
You heard that right. That means the Lakers were officially eliminated from the playoffs.
Yeah, apparently. Damn. Well, I guess look forward to that. In other news, baseball season is up and running. A little bit of a slow start, unless you're Sean Murphy's butt.
Oh, you got hit?
Did you not see this?
Oh, I saw it. He got hit on the butt.
Yeah.
No, see, I thought you were talking about Clayton Kershaw.
It just bounced off so nicely. It was just like, boom.
No, the one that I saw was when your baseball hits a dump truck. Dump truck.
Oh, Christy's doing
the dump truck.
Yeah, there he goes. Anyway, so yeah, we had some fun with that one.
Yes.
But yeah. So
meanwhile, if you're Clayton Kershaw, you may or may not be having a good day because he got taken out after 80 pitches.
Woo. Yeah.
Even though you're pitching a perfect game.
Yeah, I don't know why. This is not the first time this has happened.
Because technically it's the second time that's happened.
Yeah.
The last time it happened was like 6 years ago in 2016.
Yikes.
But I mean, you do it because the first time your pitcher's pitching in the season, you don't want to use them all, but you're 80 pitches into 8 innings.
But he was dying to finish that game.
Yeah, but you're on a pitch count. Seems like Ohtani was on the pitch count that first opening day. As soon as he hit 80, they took him out.
I mean, yes. But he also wasn't pitching a perfect game, though. Let's be fair. Different situations. Yeah. Also, Clayton Kershaw is also not also hitting like Ohtani is. You have to keep these contexts in mind. But speaking of Ohtani, hasn't warmed up quite yet. We're not seeing.
Where's his home runs?
Yeah, we're not seeing.
I think everyone's figured him out now.
Ohtani. I think they're not pitching to him. They're not giving him fastballs. And he's walking a lot.
Ooh. Speaking of that, since it is sports, can we talk about the new way they're calling pitches?
So yes, because it seems like some are and some aren't. So yeah, it's this weird robotic sleeve device that they've got on the catchers, and they're doing that instead of signs. My understanding is it's like a Morse code style tone that the pitcher can hear. And that's how they're determining the signs. But what I've noticed is what will sometimes happen is they'll start with this device and then they'll get frustrated with it and go to just manual signs again.
Yeah. So what it is that it's an electronic armband, and the pitcher or the catcher is the one who's calling the plays. You're no longer getting it from the dugout, reading signs, touching faces. You're not no longer do that. The catcher's making all the decisions of I want this call outside or middle or whatever. And basically as soon as he's done pitching and walking back to the mound, there's a microphone in the hat to the pitcher to say, hey, let's say this is what the next pitch is going to be.
Mm-hmm. It's interesting
It's
because
it's actually a good way to speed up the game.
Yeah, it's good for speeding up the game, but also it's of course a league reaction to the sign stealing scandals that have happened over the course of the last few years. It makes sense as a security measure because that means that you no longer have to be as worried about a guy on second looking at the signs, which has always been a concern. Often you'll see if there is a man on second, you'll often see the catcher come up to the pitcher and be like, and explain, I'm going to change signs now because a dude is looking me straight in the eye. Now, they wouldn't have to necessarily do that, which also speeds up the game, leads to less confusion. It leads to less this pitcher feeling like they have no idea what the catcher is asking of them anymore. That being said, of course, it has the downside of being attached to technology, which can have glitches. And I understand that some early use at the end of spring training, it was causing problems for some of the guys out there, which is why they just bounced off of it and went back to just doing normal signs.
Right. We also have the technology problem of all the old people not wanting to adapt to new technology.
But I think this is slightly different though, because this is not the robot up. This is This is just a easier way.
Easier communications.
Yeah, for communication to happen on the field. But it does, like you said, reach that league's goal, the league's goal of making the game faster and more entertaining, while also not sacrificing that much. It's not that big of a deal to lose signs. I mean, yeah, it's funny to see him point a finger down right in front of his crotch. Yes, it's always funny, no matter how you do it. But oh well, no big loss.
And so catchers no longer have to paint their nails, have to put tape
right.
on them.
The painting nails is fun. Always a good one. But yeah, I'm happy baseball's back. It's been an entertaining week and a half of games. So bring on more.
Yep, the Angels still a sub 500 team.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? We'll see right now how they're doing. But anyway.
Anyways,
anything else in sports before we move on to television?
UFC. We haven't talked about UFC in a long time.
No, we haven't.
And for good reason. Ever since they got sold.
Well, we talked about the Fight Island. We talked about Dana White's Fight Island in 2020.
But that was before they got sold.
Right, that was before they got sold.
Ever since it got sold for $2 billion, we really haven't talked about UFC.
No.
And there's a good reason for that. I tried watching another UFC.
Does it suck?
It's not good.
Yeah.
the fighters aren't pompous anymore. They're no longer these big ego brands.
Now,
in there to fight.
Is this opinion coming because you've watched a lot of professional wrestling and you're bouncing off of that to this?
No. This is
where's the showmanship?
This is coming from being fans of Ronda Rousey, of Conor McGregor.
As much as you could be fans of those awful people.
I mean, they had attitude. Yes, they had attitude, but yeah,
they had attitude in real life too. It turns out.
Yes, but there's I don't know. I was saying it feels like the meanness is gone. They realize that it's a sport that you don't really want to. As much as you want to hurt the other guy across the ring,
it's
you're not going to break
hurting
their leg every single time.
Well, yeah, let's not break any legs, but
I think maybe it's just me. They want to be more brutal, but there's more sportsmanship in the UFC now.
Sounds like good news to me. I don't know, but you're talking to somebody who doesn't watch or doesn't want to watch wrestling or UFC. So, but I'm saying you telling me that they're treating it like a professional sport sounds like they're actually doing the thing that was supposed to be in the first place.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe just missing all the beef that they used to have between people, where they circle around and fight everyone else except each other.
I'm sure it's there. You just want promos is what it sounds like. You want more UFC promos where they're just up in each other's face, just breathing heavy. Yeah, you want that.
Maybe, yeah.
You just want another Fast and Furious movie. Anyway,
Fast and Furious Octane Octagon.
yeah, there you go. It's a spinoff, direct-to-video spinoff for you. Anything else in sports before we move into the first television story, which is also about sports?
I mean, it is the big sports story of the weekend.
All right, let's just get to it then. We are talking about the USFL, the thing
The
you
return.
can't stop talking about, this spin-off new football league that is trying to gain a foothold in the US. The current iteration of the USFL is owned by Fox Sports and will use a single site for all 10 weeks of its regular season at Protective Stadium in Birmingham, Alabama. Saturday night's opening game between the New Jersey Generals and the Birmingham Stallions will include 2 sky cams, multiple drone cameras, helmet cams, and audio from players both before and after the snap. Some head coaches will be familiar to those of you familiar with football, including Kevin Sumlin, Houston, Arizona. I guess he's coached both in the past.
Yep.
Jeff Fisher, who's coached the Titans and the Rams in the past.
Yes,
and Todd,
that Jeff Fisher.
Yes. And Todd Haley, who's coached the Chiefs, to name just a few. There will also be a new rule change, or new rule changes, including 3-point try after touchdowns. So is that instead of an extra point, it's an extra 3 points?
Yeah, you can kick it. You can go for 1 point of 5 yards or 2 points from 10 yards.
Oh, so you just have to go line up on the 10-yard line and then, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You still only get 1 play.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Kickoffs starting from the 25-yard line.
It's just to prevent touchbacks more easily.
Makes sense. An alternative to the onside kick, and
and a flat 15-yard.
And a flat 15-yard defensive pass interference. What about the onside kick you were going to say?
That one's the most interesting one because you as a team can instead line up on your own 33-yard line and attempt 1 play unclocked, one unclocked play to try and gain 12 yards.
Okay.
If you do, you keep the ball.
Interesting. All right.
Yeah.
The talent for these players in the USFL will vary from 1 year out of college all the way to European/Canadian/XFL experience and even some NFL practice squad talent. So they've really run the gamut with how they got these players. So answer me this.
The only rule was you couldn't be on an NFL roster because that would violate an NFL CBA agreement.
Got it. Contract thing. So I have a question then. What differentiates this from the XFL? So I understand that the XFL's whole thing was the X, of course, stood for extreme. They were trying to be more hardcore of the game. They're trying to lean into the bros broing out, tackling each other kind of part of football. Mm-hmm. Judging just by the name USFL, it seems like this is a little bit more classy, a little bit more close to the NFL, a little more like professional sports organization. That being said,
but with the added technology benefit.
Right. Technology plus these rule changes make it seem like they're actually trying to, just like we talked about with baseball, speed up and simplify the game of football and make it more exciting. You're right. So do you think that they're going to pull it off?
I kind of think so.
Okay.
Especially with these new ways of adding immersive experience. Like I said, with the 2 sky cams, you can have one on both offense and defense. Mm-hmm. You have multiple drone cameras, so you can get literally anywhere you want in the stadium. It'll be interesting to see like a drone cam following the football as it's being thrown.
That's pretty wild, yeah.
So long as it doesn't interfere with the players.
As long as the ball doesn't hit the drone, and then you got a whole problem.
Yeah. But also like the audio from before and after snaps. One thing from this first broadcast is to be the first multi-broadcast across multiple networks, as well as streaming on Peacock.
Yeah.
For the first game, first time it's been done since like Super Bowl I for football, where it was like on both like NBC and CBS because it was like the first time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like hype that I've seen around it. Maybe just because I'm looking for the hype.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we'll see next week. You will have watched a game or two, and so you'll be able to tell us how it turns out. But it would be pretty wild if it was entertaining enough to convince some people that there could be a potential alternative to the NFL, which hasn't been a thing in God, since the NFL's inception.
Right. Maybe it can get me to stop calling college the D League.
Yeah. No, it's true. The true D League
The
is
true
here.
D League.
All right. Well, I guess we'll check back in next week to see how that's doing.
I mean, it's football in
Yeah.
the springtime.
Football in the spring. Who would have guessed it? Let's move on to our second story, which has to do with one of the many, many, many streaming channels that you didn't know existed. Not you, because of course you know, but you, the audience member. Hey, did you know that IMDb owned a streaming service called IMDb TV?
Yes, I did. Because remember when I talked about Leverage Redemption being on IMDb TV?
Well, say goodbye to IMDb TV as we knew it, because
By word letter soup.
Yeah, because the ad-supported streaming service will get yet another rebrand this year. First launch is IMDb Free Dive back in January 2019. It was later rebranded to IMDb TV in June 2019, and will now be known as Amazon Freevee. Freevee. Just wrap your mouth around that. Freevee. It's a terrible name. It's awful.
I don't know, the Pokemon Freebie?
Not since Quibi, as the name sounded gross to say. Anyway, Amazon plans to increase originals on the service by 70% in 2022, with new series planned like Bosch Legacy, Hollywood House Lift with Jeff Lewis, and Primo, created by Michael Schur and Shay Serrano. Current available originals already on the service include Leverage Redemption, the spinoff of Leverage, and Luke Bryan, My Dirt Road Diary, which is probably what it sounds like, and Judy Justice, the Judge Judy spinoff.
Yes. Remember when we talked about Judge Judy no longer being on TV?
You could have told me that these are all from a 30 Rock bit, and I would have believed you. Lauren Anderson and Ryan Perozzi, co-heads of content and programming for Freevee, said, quote, "With Freevee, our current and future viewers will discover a home that allows creative talent the freedom to tell impactful, entertaining, and inspiring stories. A service accessible to all and freed from time slot restrictions and device availability." You're just describing every streaming service.
Yeah, you
and
are.
A destination that provides customers with both new and familiar, escapist and engaging content free of charge. Okay. Despite that last part, you are describing every streaming service by this quote, but sure, you guys do you.
Yes,
so
you guys do you try and be original.
I do not think that Amazon rebranding this thing with an even worse name is going to work. I say RIP Freevee. It'll be gone in months.
In months?
Months. Give it
months.
I see a Quibi.
So we know that Quibi lasted, I think, 4 months, right?
4 months, yeah.
4 months and then 6
months
months for liquidation.
Yeah. So
that's the bar we're setting for Freevee.
Going for the new record? Go for 3. Go for 3. Why not? Let's do it.
Come on. 1 quarter, in and out, just like that.
I can't imagine what kind of money Michael Schur was offered to be on this thing, but hey.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like through his production company and in name only.
Maybe. Or Amazon, maybe he made it for Prime and Amazon was like, actually, no, and like put it over there.
Actually, no, we need content over here to help bolster this.
Oh my God.
Please put your name on this.
Anything that has the Judge Judy show after Judge Judy was canceled. I mean, you got to think about the programming here. Anyways, let's move on out of that. You watched a few things on television this week, including one that's been a few weeks coming here. Which one do you want to talk about first?
So real quickly, last week I talked about The Ultimatum.
Yes.
It had its finale. Exact same thing, just as I predicted would happen. I did get a little bit more invested in the characters by the end, but at the same time, I like the other stuff better. I don't know if it's just because it came first, but sure. I want to say it's because I was more invested in the characters and I knew who was with who by the end. But one of those couples, damn, I just despised them. They were too bad, like bad people who just absolutely deserved each other. They just made bad decisions, and when they even made a worse decision, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
You do you. I can't save you. No one can save you guys.
So ultimately, see what I did there? Were the winners deserved winners?
No,
No,
I didn't want them to be winners. I don't know.
you want them to
So like,
figure out their
so
marriage.
the guy had basically proposed 2 ultimatums.
Okay.
The first one was, do you want to marry me?
Mhm.
The second one was, do you want to marry me right now? And
What
she
did-
said yes to both.
Oh no! Well, so they got their big wedding finale.
No.
What?
She wasn't even wearing a white dress.
What?
It was just like literally right here, right now.
And they just wait.
Got
How?
married.
Was there
right
a,
there, right
was
then
there
and
a
there.
justice of the peace available?
Yeah. Someone just
okay.
came out. I was like, hey, okay,
Yeah.
I'm gonna officiate. We're gonna make this official here. Between you, me, and all these cameras and producers.
I don't know how they managed, but I feel like the ultimatum seems stupider somehow than any of these other shows.
Oh, it got stupider because when they had the reunion, she came out pregnant.
Already?
Already.
Do you think it happened during the show? Do you think
No, it was at least 9 months between reunion and the show ending.
At least 9 months.
But she was 6 months pregnant.
Oh boy.
Which means, yes, by the time they got married, told their family, basically just started getting on it.
Maybe that was a third ultimatum he gave after the cameras turned off. He's like, all right, I asked if you want to get married. I asked you if you want to get married now. Do you want to have a baby with me right now?
Now we have 1 year to make a baby. If we don't, I'm going to break
this
this off.
They ran off into a bush.
I mean, at least that's better than the other version of this, which was, I'm saying no to you in this ultimatum, but I'm going to ask this other girl who's also on the show if she wants to go away with me on like a trip.
You can do that. You can just like try to play other people off against the.
Well, that's the whole point of like the first half was you're gonna start date with other people.
Ugh.
And he went like on the date with the other girl. I'm like, wait, so you literally just broke up with this girl, walked over.
What about you? Will you do it?
And said, hey, other girl that I've known for like 3 weeks.
Can you imagine if
you want to go on a trip?
Can you imagine if that girl also rejected him? Would he have just kept going? Like, would he have just been like make this line of like rejections?
I don't know. I think it might have hit harder if they both said no.
Yeah, you would get the idea. You would have been like, all right.
Yeah, but maybe there is something like finally like hits and like, oh, maybe there is something wrong with me.
Yeah. But I mean, they wouldn't have cast him on the show if there wasn't something wrong with him.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah, that's the ultimatum. It's there if you want it. I feel like it's like kind of like a time capsule thing that it just exists in its form. And I don't really want to talk more about it.
Sure. I mean, we don't have to. That's the nice thing is that they'll probably make another season next year and then we can
I know they'll
then.
make another season.
But you don't have to think about the ultimatum until they do that. You don't have to think about it ever again.
I'm just saying that I don't want to talk about the ultimatum anymore.
Also,
but
every time we say that name, I have to like actually like crank my head into gear to remember that it's a reality show about dating because it sounds like a crime drama on network TV. Like, you can't just call it The Ultimatum. That sounds like
ultimatum.
Yeah, that sounds like something that has like.
Well, it's like calling something. It's like NBC's The End Game.
Yeah.
Eventually,
exactly.
it's gonna end.
You can't just call it that. Also. Anyway, what else did you watch?
Anyways, I also watched a finale of sorts.
Uh-huh.
So last week I talked about Severance.
Yeah.
Now it ended, and now I was going to go in and rewatch it and catch up to it now that I can just binge everything.
So did you watch all of Severance already?
I did watch all of Severance.
All right. What'd you think? Is it as good as people were saying it is?
So it's created and directed by Ben Stiller.
Mm-hmm.
This is Ben Stiller. Never worked in an office environment, Ben Stiller. Always been in an actor, director, Ben Stiller.
Sure, yeah.
Writing and directing, it was ostensibly a office-themed drama.
Well, it is and it isn't, right? Because it's a speculative like thing where it's like, oh, but what if the office, but like what if an office job, but you are so divided between real life and your office position that they are actually separate versions of yourself that you have no memory.
No, it takes that concept of who you are at work and who you are outside of work and just puts it to the absolute extreme of you're two different people. Even though you may not see yourself as two different people people see you as two different people between who you are at work and who you are at in home life. Now, being work from home as we are, there's kind of no barrier anymore between that. I think
Maybe
it's
for
weird
some
that it's
people.
coming out right now.
Yeah, it's interesting timing.
Because like most people have lost that barrier of work me and home me.
I wouldn't say most people, but some people certainly. Yeah.
Well, in 2020, people did who were still able to work. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting dynamic between, or it's a take on that concept of two people ostensibly is having the same body, but are two separate people. They like two separate things. My main problem with it, and the problem that I had trouble with it, like even back when I said from the beginning, too many mystery boxes and not enough results.
Okay.
That even by the end, I was like, oh, so that's how that wrapped up. Cool. I like that. But was it worth the journey for it? And that's kind of where I landed at the end of this is I like what you did at the end with it. I like all the reveals. It was really good in concept and executed really, really well. Might be one of my favorite executions of TV in this year. But was the journey worth it of watching these 10 what's 10 out 9 hours to this 10th hour finale?
So do you think it's a little bit of a slog? Is that what you're saying? Or it's like it takes its time a little too much?
No. The problem is that it isn't a slog. The problem is that the hook isn't as engaging me as I thought it would be. It was never, oh, I need to know what happens next until it got to about like the 7th or 8th episode when they finally formed a plan.
Do you think that that's a problem that we see in a lot of these serialized streaming shows, which is that they know that episode 8 is supposed to be when the shit hits the fan, so they pull back so much and then release, and then you're like, well, we could have done this several episodes prior.
It's the, hey, we could finish this in 6 episodes, but you're going to pay us for 10 episodes.
Right.
Okay, we'll create 4 more episodes to add filler and backstories to these characters, which you may or may not care about by this point.
Yeah.
But it's just the kind of like the world that we're now living in with streaming, where everything gets 10 episodes and we need to somehow fill out all 10 episodes.
Yeah, it's very much that's how streaming television is made now.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of disappointing, but ultimately, do you think it's worth watching for people who have Apple TV Plus?
I mean, assuming you're done watching the after party.
Well, yes. It's a given. Anybody who listens to this has probably already finished the after party. So
yes, they were on it when we were watching it on a weekly episode. Yeah, the fact that it didn't capture me enough to want to watch it on a weekly basis.
Yeah,
it's probably more telling than anything else I could say.
All right.
I mean, it did get a 2nd season. I'll look forward to it. But at the same time, similar to other stuff on Apple TV that got a 2nd and 3rd season, I'll eventually probably get around to watching it, maybe, which is kind of my sentiment for most things now.
Yeah. So your mileage may vary, it sounds like, on Severance. So there you go.
But I really like that ending, though. That ending is really good TV.
I'm glad they nailed it.
They nailed the ending, but it's a lot of buildup for that ending. And it's the whole, does the end justify how we got here means kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah. You have one last thing that you watched this week.
Yes, one last thing that we watched. Well, because I was going to watch Close Enough season 3.
Yeah. Did you watch any of it?
No, because instead I watched Julia on HBO Max.
You need to. I can't. You need to.
Hey, I listened to Wetlake instead for you.
Just one thing every week, I guess. Just check those boxes.
So, anyways, Julia.
Yes. What is this?
It's exactly what you think it is when I say based off of Julia Child.
Right. This is that. Okay.
So, I don't know what's with this new like renaissance / love of Julia Child. We have this show. There's also a cooking show on Food Network where people try to mimic Julia Child.
Yes.
I don't understand. Like I've seen her mentioned in like a couple new shows as well. Like when I talk about like cooking stuff, like I don't know what's with them doing infatuation with Julia Child.
She's timeless. I feel like every few years you see her show up in pop culture again. I mean, you had the Julie and Julia movie. What is that? 15 years ago, 16 years ago at this point?
10, 15, something like that.
So yeah, so it makes sense that now Julia Child's back in the consciousness again. Cycle continues.
I don't know, maybe. But
Okay,
what makes this one version stand out though?
So yes, Julia. What is this on?
HBO Max.
HBO Max. Okay.
Yes, HBO Max original. So what makes this one stand out from currently the other versions is that it's a story about how Julia Child got on TV.
Okay.
How she turned her cookbook to an interview to a TV show to the hearts of people, because at the time TV was still new. It was like in the 60s, TV wasn't in every household.
Right.
Also during this time that women weren't on TV. So yeah, that kind of struggle and aspect of it. What it reminds me a lot of is Marvelous Miss Maisels.
Okay.
But just with cooking and still same kind of like dynamic duo of like these two strong, hardworking women working together to make this dream a reality.
Okay.
And it has that kind of charm too. Like if you said this was a spiritual successor for it and it was on Amazon, I'd believe you. Except it's on HBO Max.
But it seems like that's a template that they're at least going off of. They're like, okay, a period piece. Is it a comedy? Is it mostly
it feels like comedy, yeah.
Okay. Based on somebody in this case who actually existed.
Yes.
But yeah, so I guess with that comparison in mind, is it is it gentle enough to be like, oh, if you're interested in Julia Child's life at all, if you're like, it's a fun watch, or does it lean more into the like, no, we're actually going to tell this like super realistically? Like, do they lean into kind of maybe dark angles? It's more family friendly. Angles. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, it tips its toe into like the terrible like ad execs like like, oh, like no one's gonna watch this kind of thing. Like, what do you think you're doing?
Because you have to, because there has to be some sort of stakes. Yeah.
But it's because there has to be stakes, there has to be drama, and there's that the male dominant wall pushed up against.
Because obviously we know she gets on television and she makes her show because we come from the future. We know that already. So yeah, they have to establish some stake.
Yes, we notice.
Yeah.
So it's a fun watch. Kind of makes you also want to like go out and pick up her cookbook.
Yeah.
Or like learn like, oh, like I wasn't alive to watch and appreciate this, but watching this makes it seem like she made it look so easy. So maybe I want to like look up something on YouTube or archive footage, or just pick up the cookbook and say, hey, this is really easy.
You always can do that. There's always time. So
that's one of the things that it does really well, is that it makes it friendly, and because it is that kind of like comedy driven.
Yeah.
That it does make it friendly. It does make it watchable. It does make it enjoyable. It's not like, oh my God, you're just like putting up blockade after blockade, unnecessary blockade here. No, there's actual reasons for it, and there's actual like stakes attached to everything. And that's part of what makes a good show. You make me care about these characters. Even though I know it's already going to happen, you make everything feel impactful, especially in scene. And the person who does Julia Child is, I'm going to pull up the name real quick.
Yeah, I don't know.
Quite a refreshing take.
I don't know who plays her.
Yeah. Let me see. Who plays you? Sarah Lancashire.
Oh, okay.
And also David Hyde Pierce is in here.
Oh, I didn't know that there was a surprise David Hyde Pierce.
Yeah, apparently he plays the husband.
Fair enough. Anyway, well, that sounds good. It sounds like good comfort food, no pun intended. All right, let's move on. You didn't watch anything else? Anything else slip through the cracks at all?
No, did you watch anything else?
Just baseball. Continuing through Riverdale, which just gets stupider by the episode. Yeah.
So, I will say this.
Yes.
American Song Contest.
Yeah, I've dropped off of that.
Completely dropped off of it.
Yeah, I'm 3 episodes behind now, I think, on American Song Contest. It's hard to find the time to watch like an hour's worth of stuff or 2 hours worth of stuff. I don't know.
Yeah. They need to rework it. 2, they need to make it a week-long event.
Yeah.
To where, or 2 weeks, like make it like the Olympics where you have it on every night for an hour or 2.
It needs to feel
And
more
so
like
you
an
want
event.
to tune in because it's only on for 2 weeks, not this 6-8 week run.
Network Teller, that reminded me, there is one thing I can talk about that I don't have much to say about, but it did hit its season finale this week. Abbott Elementary wrapped up season 1 this week on ABC.
Oh, did that just end?
Yes, just ended. That was the season finale on Monday. I don't know what days it airs, but
yeah.
But yeah, because I watched it on Hulu, I didn't watch it live. So, but yeah, nailed the landing, really good finale. I'm very excited that they've already confirmed a season 2. I want to see more of those characters. I want to see what happens to that. Yeah, some changes are happening in the world of that show as of the finale. So it'll be interesting to see what they do going forward. But yeah, I love that world. I love that that show is just a vibe, and I'm glad that they're going to continue it next year. So yeah, just you can catch up with that on Hulu if you missed any of the prior episodes.
All right, sounds good.
That's it. So that means we can safely move on now into cancellations and renewals, which takes us to CBS, who has renewed SWAT for a 6th season. So more SWAT than you ever wanted. HBO, yeah.
Yes, that's SWAT.
HBO is bringing back Curb Your Enthusiasm for yet another season. That will be 12 seasons of that show, which I believe now means that there have been more seasons of Curb than there are of Seinfeld. Is that correct?
So. Real quick, you know how we're talking about Ohtani not hitting a home run?
Yeah. Did it just happen? All right. Hell yeah. That's the breaking news that I want while we're recording this podcast is an Ohtani home run.
Yeah, and Adele just hit one too. So we're up 2-0.
Oh shit. That's great. All right.
We doing things. We cooking, son.
We're making it happen. Although then again, first inning also great yesterday. So
yes.
Let's move on. Making the Cut, which is the Prime Video Project One Runway alike, is getting a 3rd season.
Yeah, apparently 2nd season aired, and I completely missed it.
Yeah, it did. I think we talked about it.
We talked about the 1st season, but the 3rd season is going to be in this summer.
Okay, and then Hulu is bringing back Life and Beth for a 2nd season.
Congratulations, Amy Schumer.
Yeah, that's the Amy Schumer one, right? Okay. Yeah. Then we have one death to talk about. It's a real rough one. Gilbert Gottfried, age 67, out of nowhere this past weekend. Yeah, just very sad. Like, obviously, I don't even need to tell you what he's been in. He was a comedy legend. Probably most famous to millennials for being the voice of Iago in Aladdin, among many other roles, and just that distinctive voice that anybody could recognize from like a second of him speaking. Just so many priceless bits, so many decades of being in everywhere and everything. Definitely a comedian's comedian. He was often somebody who your favorite comedian would bring up and be like, "Oh yeah, he's one of the best." So yeah. Chrissy, is this another death that happened? Liz Sheridan apparently also died this week. Oh, Jerry's mom on Seinfeld.
We covered that last week.
Oh, we covered that last week. I guess that was last week.
No. We covered George's mom last week.
Oh shit. You're right. Yes, she also just said that. Sorry. Never mind.
This is 1 hour ago.
Damn.
Liz Sheridan, 1 hour ago.
Damn. Jeez, the whole cast.
All right, add to the list here.
All right, add that to the list. But yeah, that'll do it for deaths. So that means we can safely move on as you type that in to the last section of the show, movies. 93. Oh, okay. And we start the movie section with the box office numbers. And hey, we called it. That was really easy to call. Your number 1 movie this week was Sonic the Hedgehog 2, a $72 million debut, which is a record. Not a box office record in usual terms, but a movie based on a video game record. This is now the new top grossing first weekend for a movie based on a video game. So this beats the first Sonic as well as Detective Pikachu's first weekend. Basically anything based on a video game, this did better than. So new bar to clear.
Really better than Detective
Yes.
Pikachu? I felt that it hit
Better than
100.
Detective Pikachu.
I felt that one hit 100, didn't it not?
It did not. It did not hit 100 in its first weekend.
Opening weekend? Okay.
Yeah, opening weekend. So new bar to clear. However, of course, we know by the end of this year we will have the Super Mario Brothers movie from Illumination, which will probably blow this thing away. So
Yes,
not even
it'll still own the category for live action though.
For the time being, yes. For live action, yeah, you're right. Coming in at number 2, it was not the summer of Morbius, as Morbius another $10 million, 57 million is its total domestically right now. Still just struggling. Huge. What was that? A 70% drop off from the debut? Just brutal.
It
brutal.
Plummeted for quicker than Jared Leto's career.
Yeah, looks like it. Number 3, The Lost City sticks around with another $9 million. That's at 68. Number 4, Ambulance, another 8.6 million. Or no, that did. You have that. Wait, that number is wrong because I feel like we talked about Ambulance last week.
We did.
On the box office. So we need to update that number.
Okay.
And rounding out your top 5, The Batman, $6.4 million, adding to 358 million.
No, that was the premiere.
That was the debut? Okay, I thought I could have sworn. But yeah, okay, so I'm sorry. That was an $8.6 million first week for Ambulance, which
I'm sorry. Does this help?
Awful.
Does that help?
So no one saw that movie. Also,
no, Jake Gyllenhaal in an action film sounds like it belongs on Netflix. Also,
we should mention it's much smaller movie, so of course it made smaller money. But at number 6, Everything Everywhere All at Once debuted to $6 million. So
good chance I will see that this weekend.
Okay, good. Yeah, I want to see your.
I've been seeing
your take
good
on
things
that one.
about
I've heard good things. Yeah. All right, let's move on to this weekend in big new releases. Today saw Father Stu and Fantastic Beasts: The Secrets of Dumbledore. Next week we have The Northman, The Northman, The Bad Guys.
Northman, was it like Viking?
Oh, that's that Viking thing. Okay.
Yes.
The Bad Guys, which is the DreamWorks
animated film, yes.
Yeah, the DreamWorks fairy tale villains movie based on, I believe, children's book. Correct. I believe that Bad Guys thing, yeah, based on a children's book. And then The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent, which is that Nicolas Cage playing himself movie. Finally in theaters. So that is next week. So we'll see how those fare next time. All right, let's move on into movie news. And hey, speaking of called it, I swear we said exactly this just last week.
I mean, because so literally last week we were talking about how the star of The Flash, Ezra Miller, was currently in hot water.
Yes.
And we said DC's got to do something with it.
Well,
right on the heels of us also talking about Discovery closing the Warner Media purchase for $43 billion.
Well, it turns out that DC is doing just that.
Wait, hold on. Is this them calling us with our check now?
I know, I wish they paid us for this. With Discovery closing that $43 billion deal for Warner Media, David Zaslav, the CEO, and top leadership have been toying with the idea of turning DC into its own solidified content vertical across film, streaming, TV, and the creative team within DC proper, that's just to make that clear, because it's a little corporate jargony. They want to basically make that a brand, make it separate from, instead of Warner being like, oh, Warner like decides what DC does. This would make DC its own entity within the corporate umbrella and basically say like, no, the DC Studios is bringing you this content, is making these decisions. Everything's coming from their creatives.
It's the Marvel thing.
It's the Marvel model. So before the merger closed, Zaslav vetted candidates with experience in creating and nurturing blockbuster intellectual property, similar to what Marvel has in Kevin Feige. Zaslav was less interested in finding a creative guru, but more interested to hire someone who had the type of business background needed to keep all the different factions at DC working more harmoniously. Current DC head Walter Hamada is under contract until the end of 2023, but after whatever they decide to do with him, you may see new corporate leadership there, and you might see this plan go into effect.
So what they are currently looking at is similar to what James Gunn just did with taking the Suicide Squad, spin it off into Peacemaker. What Matt Reeves is doing, which is take the Batman and spin it off into both the Penguin on HBO Max and Gotham PD on HBO Max.
I think what you have also here is a way to avoid what happened last time, which is the television universes being different from the movie universes. Obviously, all of the Arrowverse shows on CW exist in their own continuity. I'm sure Warner is looking at what Marvel's doing right now with Disney and being like, we should have done that. We needed that kind of connection. We needed everything to operate in the same world because this is confusing. This is just a mess.
Now that we're a year out from Disney Plus and seeing that, hey, WandaVision was Emmy nominated. Why can't we have comic book Emmy nominated content? It
plays in a different world when you're playing in like critically, when you're playing in that like same shared universe. And I think that how Warner was run was not built for that kind of interaction before. This is an opportunity for them to make DC its own silo and make sure that that's the case. Make sure that everything is coming from the top. Make sure everything is following the same rules. This could also be why you saw some recent delays for the video games as well. Everything is probably being reanalyzed right now within.
Yes, it's not listed here in the story, but in what I read, they are also looking at WB games and specifically DC games as well.
Yeah, make DC games its own studio, make them the publisher, separate that from Warner's gaming stuff, let Warner handle other stuff. Or maybe this is how they pivot Warner out of video games completely, which is something that Discovery had said they were potentially thinking about doing. So it's ways to like compartmentalize and be like, no, DC handles video games. That's the only video games we make. We don't make games else otherwise, and because they kind of don't. They just got out of Lego, for example. So it makes sense for them to be like, wash our hands, clear of that.
Yep, which I did watch some playthroughs of Lego Star Wars.
Yeah,
it's really good.
It seems good for people who
like those Lego praise.
Games. Yeah,
I'm ready for my summer game now. I got 2 massive pillars in front of me, possibly a third.
There you go. But anyway.
Anyways, like we mentioned last week, there's going to be a big shakeup with the DC universe.
So we'll see what happens.
I want to say by years out, we're going to have a good roadmap of what's going to happen.
Yeah. So keep our eyes peeled on that one. In the meantime, here's something completely different. Hey, are you ready for another adaptation of The Color Purple?
Is it wrong to say I never watched the original or the Broadway version?
I mean, if you haven't seen any, well, here's your chance because they're making another one. Warner Brothers is making another rendition of the iconic American novel, The Color Purple. This time from first-time feature director Blitz Bazawule.
There's another Blitz out there.
Yeah, I guess so. First name this time.
Yes, first name.
Who is the director of the Beyonce video Black is King and the Burial of Jojo. What is that?
That's a short, Emmy-nominated short. Or sorry, Oscar-nominated short.
Oscar-nominated short. Okay. The cast is taking shape as Grammy winner John Batiste makes his feature acting debut. Sure, why not? Alongside Fantasia Barrino. Is she going by her last name again? I remember she was single named just Fantasia for a while.
The article listed as Fantasia Barrino. So
okay, I guess she's back to Barrino. Joining the ensemble are Danielle Brooks, Taraji P. Henson, and Colvin Domingo, Corey Hawkins, her, and Halle Bailey, as well as Ciara, and Elizabeth Marvel, David Allen Greer, Luis Gosset and Ingenue Ellis. Oh, Christy's favorite person, Ingenue Ellis.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a musical. It's a musical version.
Yes, this is a musical.
Says, okay, you don't have that in your story. It's kind of important.
Oh, see, I thought that'd be obvious because you have John Batiste and Fantasia Barrino in it.
Yes. Oh,
as well as Halle Bailey,
Christy's
Halle
input
X
here.
Chloe.
Yes.
And Ciara in it.
Situation where
And Anjanae Ellis. No, just
Right. Okay, so Christy is saying it's like the producers, where it's like it was a movie that was adapted into a stage musical that is
And the
now
stage
being
musical.
a movie again based on the stage musical.
yeah, the stage musical is what they are adapting.
So that's what's happening. Fantasia apparently was in the stage version,
Okay.
which is why she's here. That makes sense.
Yes.
Our
Yes.
Broadway correspondent.
Even though Spielberg directed the original Color Purple, he
Yes.
is on here as a producer.
Oh, okay.
Maybe in name only because the Color Purple.
Well, I bet he was also producer on the stage version. Spielberg,
yes,
does he?
probably.
It wouldn't surprise me.
It wouldn't be surprised me. Yeah.
It's producer here as well. All right. Well, so look forward to that. That's a killer cast. So if they can make that work, that
Oh
could
wait,
be...
you forgot. And more.
Oh, and more. Sorry.
Yes.
More.
Not,
But
not
yeah,
and more. And more.
Yes, and more. Someone named and more. No, but seems like this is Oscar bait waiting to happen. So good for them.
May appear by the end of the year. Who knows?
Maybe. Who knows? All right. That's it for movie news. Did we watch any movies this week? I'm going to give you a big fat no, because if I didn't have time for the American Song Contest, I also didn't have time for movies.
I'll also give you a big fan note because I was too busy watching Severance and Julia Child and other TV stuff. Also listening to Swedish House Mafia.
Well, then that means that we are done here. That'll do it for movies, and that'll do it for the Media Boat podcast this week. Thank you for bearing with us for a remote show. We will be remote again next week. As we hinted earlier in the show, Mike will be on his way to the Coachella Valley next week to enjoy weekend festivities there for the second weekend of Coachella.
And then, I will report back on what Coachella was for me.
For the first time ever in Media podcast history, we'll have a man down in Coachella to report on it. So wait till next week to see all about that. In the meantime, you can catch us on YouTube if you want to see our video versions of the podcast, live or archived. Go to youtube.com, search Media Boat Podcast, and find our channel there. You can also listen to us audio style if you like on all sorts of podcast services such as Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Amazon Music, or whatever they call their podcast service, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you listen to podcasts, we're probably there. Just give us a Google. You can also find us on social media channels like Twitter, where we're at MediaBoatCast. On Facebook, search Media Boat Podcast, find our page there. And last but definitely not least, if you want to ask us any questions, give us feedback, anything at all, email us, mediaboatpodcast@gmail.com, and we will read your emails here on the air. Thank you for joining us this week. We'll be back next week for Coachella thoughts, more television thoughts, video game thoughts, all sorts of things, and news as it happens. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back, and enjoy your week.
Yep, we'll be back with more thoughts, more album thoughts.
More everything.
I will most probably definitely sing Everything Everywhere All at Once.
All right.
So I have my thoughts on that next week.
Everything next week.
All right, bye.
Bye.